Okay, so I just spent ages trying to do this, but they just MK Ultra. Ah! Bloody hell. Notice to agents, notice to principal. Notice to principals, notice to agents. I am the authorised agent representative of all the caps letters of the birth certificate. No assured value, no liability, errors or omissions accepted, all rights reserved, with recourse non-consumptive. Right, we're on the eve of the trauma and the setup of the ultimate in England. In England, on the 7th of June 2022, Public Servants Head Office in Glasgow, Criminal Injuries Compensation Limited Company had my affidavit resent. The effect of what happened to me in 2002, the trauma, is absolutely ridiculous. If you fall into categories in the policies in England, the lack of the circumstances and the impact of what happened to me all those years ago, serious taught, and the evidence unfortunately affects on the they're using the Mental Health Statute Act 1983, trauma based, isn't it? It's statute out in England. You otherwise have significant empowerment of intelligence of social functioning. It's trauma. They're re-triggering every time they bloody lie about me. And it's years. And they've now all entwined together to intimidation, lies and slander as part of the gaslighting. And this is absolutely the ultimate why they sent the wheelchair male, David, was using trigger words, mental health, home, move. All are working these demonic demons together and feeding off. All of this is all part of it. And yeah, basically my rebuttals of affidavit or truth of facts got delivered on Wednesday. Well, basically dated Wednesday, 1st June 2022, and got delivered on that day, on that morning at 10 o'clock. So that guy was deliberately sent round to question me. So these public servants, agents, will go and use that to use the presumptions, already being rebutted by the way, of UK Mental Health Act 1983, and the reason why I got set up to get robbed by my area police, public servant, demonic freemasons. On the 13th, before that as well, on the 13th of January 2022 was for this reason as well. The direct discrimination, but you name it, it's gone on. And basically this is the brain interface technology too. And I'm just reading this Ministry of Justice Limited Company Code of Practice, page 8 and 9 for victims of crime. So go and research Camden Ripper, right? I'm the only survivor, right? So in their chapter of vulnerable intimidated victims, witnesses, the code of vulnerable victims, right, they should have followed. The nature and the circumstances, right? You know, they've all been implied she's not engaging, she's this and she's that, and they're blocking all other public funded services as well. Special measures never got put in place, right? So, you know, can't cope with like reliving this all the time. Any letter and offer video calls, can't cope with all that, right? The special measures never got put in place. But I wasn't used as a witness, you see. It's all about, like, nothing in their document says about the effects if you've taken off a compensation, okay? And basically nobody, all the old law companies all these years have never ever said that it would affect your disability income since the date of the actual crime. And I found out end of 2019, 2020 and more to 2021 to date. In England, it's known as Social Security Act 1997, Chapter 27. Within the Pacific, I looked into Trust and Equity to set up in 2019. I looked into Ladies, Women Charities in London for their support on everything I searched. So Blatchford Limited Company, right, again today's emails. And then before that, they delayed it for 5 months. Why now suddenly offer an email suddenly out the blue? Oh, 2 days ago, I've got evidence recording. There's the parts are not available. There's no rush. The wheelchair works and the charger thing or the power unit thing on my wheelchair works fine, Dave said. But all along, they were gathering evidence to use against me. There's evidence why I needed, I've got an email evidence, why May 2019, the Women's Charity did for me at the time, women with visible and invisible disabilities, for couldn't cope face-to-face interviews, paper-based only. And so basically this is what's known as in England Department of Works and Pensions Limited, and the consideration of my circumstances dangerous to my health, high level disability, and basically the effects of the strokes I've had as well. The effects of survivor of a serial killer. Go and research Anthony Hardy, known as the famous London Borough Camden Ripper. I'm a survivor of him. So created disassociation, isn't it? And I didn't know all these years ago, Morsey Hospital post-traumatic stress service is all used to target individuals, the traumatic experiences of all that, and then me getting run over, hit by a car, being used in the wheelchair by 2010, and had repeated strokes and effects every part of my life. To revisit all the time, constantly, this is now all the time, extremely stressful to revisit traumatic life experiences. And to relive this, it's seriously affecting this disassociation, the anxiety, and the threats of another stroke. And this is what they're doing to me again. Okay? We trashed it all up 2019, 2020, 21, 2022. That's what they want. And this is all a breach in England. It's known as their own system. It's known as Equality Act 2010, discrimination, you name it's gone on. So this lady in London, her report, I did a summary of this 2019, but you see, we don't deal with the flesh and blood. These are demonic entities who are absolutely setting me up with the ultimate card in Ministry of Justice Limited policies and their area offices in Birmingham. Everything's online these days, isn't it? With Court of Protection. What? For what? I had to produce, well, I didn't have to, but I counterclaim and rebutted point to point, 6 pages, resent it all back up beginning of the year and recently to state why I can't set the payment. It's 22 years they've been dragging this out. So when I reported what the failures happened before, You see, from 2011 to 2015, nobody contacted me, and that's their problem. It's their fault, their negligence. And then all this housing business, everything that's come to a head, you see, and they're blaming me for it all. They're putting onus on me, that I'm this, that I'm that. But the code of policies, these policies, these absolute evidence of these policies and documents, their own policies, clearly states that they completely failed me. Don't know anybody else that has, but I did not know what I know now. So I didn't know that Morsey Hospital was famous years ago to being used for the trauma-based mind control program. I did not know years ago what I know now. Oh my gosh, I did not know, you know, they use all this. Yeah, this is why pages long, this document. Basically, this is where the effects of the trauma is a dangerous to one's health. And when you're trying to cope with your physical disabilities on top, unblock to repairs to housing, and know you're a targeted individual. Oh my gosh, and everything else, the brain interface technology I've learned from so many good people. So when I found evidence that this is a company, previous one and the one here, this is a company evidence that Voice for Victims and Witnesses is a limited company in the Freemasons. Where are they based? And that's the head office is in my area. Okay. Can you believe that is significant individual, right? A limited company. 2018 I found this. Well, it's dated that. But it's actually the director. And I also found the detailed information of this. And the Freemason police were involved, the ritual, the demonic stuff that you know, that I know. So they're trying to push now with the mental health card, the criminal injuries compensation limited company, with local public servants as well, and nationally. And because of Section 1, the mental health, yeah. Can you believe this? 2005 Mental Capacity Act. They're using persons. An individual must be assumed to have capacity unless it's established he or she lacks it. What they're doing here, an individual is not to be treated as unable to make a decision, and this is where they're going, unless all practical steps are taken without success to assist them. And then they go on about under the who lacks capacity, and they do best interest assessment and dole to private liberty, human rights, for taking it all away. Yeah, I have responded. Right, I've got this printout already, and that's 2005, but it's 1983 they're going for. In 2005, a statue had. All because I survivor of what happened to me years ago. And basically, yeah, that individual was sent round to trigger me. Right, so I got all this documents and evidence, and what didn't happen was Millbrook Healthcare Limited as well for my services, my medical equipment in my private dwelling. So they have breached the duty of care and all that cold calling 2020, and I reported and counterclaimed opposite dates to come service my equipment, and I've been chasing it up ever since. And the reason why they're blocking it all, okay, locally and nationally in England, for their connection into this Freemasonry, to make it look like that my friends are incompetent and I'm incompetent and it's put me at risk, so they can just push along. I've got all these other emails, paperwork and evidence to prove that they've been doing this. This is the end game, the ultimate for them. And this is where the traumatisation, reliving it all, the constant NK ultra trauma-based mind control. Here's the evidence that the police are a limited company. This all goes back to like why they blocked all my repairs for 5 years, and there was Freemason locally, certain individuals. This is the evidence of a limited company, Dun and Bradstreet.co.uk, company number, and that's where the head office is. They set me up, get me robbed beginning of the year as well. Okay. So, a piece of paper to imply you can force entry to your home, concerns about your mental ability, you know. All my affidavits of 6 pages long. Here they are. Social Chamber, 5th floor, Gray's Inn Road, London, to report what's going on 2020 to date. It's got nowhere. The company of Ministry of Justice Limited Company number is there. Coventry's and Glasgow Company is there. There's area offices. The Chamber President's office never got anywhere. You see, all was resent. The dates I resent it. 18th 1st 2020. I redated it the 1st of the 6th 2022. It's all got sent. The CEO for the Coventry's Compensation to Company, the head office, and who it is. And Carol Oakway at the time, the area office of the base 6th floor in London, Ministry of Justice Limited. You see, it was 6 pages long, to the point, rebuttals being made. My affidavit, truth of the facts, and my 4 rebuttals. I approved the sent notice of default, opportunity to cure, and quote the dates. I shall be unable to take the offer of the invite letter. Again, that was Wednesday, the 25th of the 5th, 2022. And on Monday, the 22nd of the 3rd, 2021, that was then offer a video call, you see. This has all been, all agents of other companies are aware of the statute law, quote what that is. The traumatic events of what happened, quote the date of that. I bring to the fact a reference to a common law case reference. I've also stated that my judicial acceptance and my rejection of offer without dishonour, keywords. Basically, Adrian Arheed pushed all this along with David Hutton, and it's led to where it is now an MC Mochan, a chairman they called him. The GMC member, a Dr. L. Lyer, L-A-Y-E-R, an unknown female, Al Payne, began this on the 18th of 6th, 2019, and failed in the facts of the invite. And I sent the reason why I couldn't. I sent it by recorded post. It was typed up clear, dismissed unlawfully, unproven comments about my private life. It's led to this in 2022 now, to imply questions about my medical private life. I'd already made rebuttals, and it was last dated, again, on the 18th, 1st, 2022, recorded post. To imply I require a family member or a private eye friend. To imply I require assistance. The assumption is based on personal opinions. And basically, I was unable to take the offers already 2011, 2015, implied the upper tribunal before May the 4th, 2011. My injury, RTA, changed in 2010 my physical body and wheelchair bound into mobility, functional, limited function self-care, unable to assist to offer travel to London, then effect on speech and movement. This was also dismissed by the clerks and its agents. A hearing was held despite my clear document and paperwork to the fact. I raised my concerns to the CEO as the agent for the Ministry of Justice and the company, quote where they are, and also had they never responded on the breach of duty of care or made reasonable adjustments. Instead, under duress only, one's effects of physical disabilities are formally, since 2010, the former law company's agent, for whom I was trying to get them to uphold on my instructions to my requirements to inform the agent, the clerks of the Criminal Injuries Compensation Limited company. Also, they had changed their names and moved offices. I did not get a response from the dates 2011 and 2015 by the agents of the former head office in the company and also in London. And I had raised concerns of failure of the case management since 2004 and up to 2011 of the invites and offers the handling of case management. And where I had responded to invites during 2011, 2013, 14, 15, by then it was a total of 5 years and the lack of response by all those agents in England. The fact that the clerks and agents had dismissed this fact in 2018-19 and reopened the offer in 2019. I did not, they did. So provide the obligation where I need to respond, which I did out of courtesy. Okay. And this basically documents, quotes who cited this up and dismissed all my evidence. David Hutton, 15th of May 2019, 7th of 6th 2019. How ironic, an anniversary date just gone of Tuesday the 7th of June 2022. It would have been from 2018. Sorry, let's write that down. I think this is why they set me up as well. So 2019, 20, 21, 22, that's 3 years. That's 20, 20, that's 3 years. Okay. They've pursued it since the date 2013, and then the date was just gone. That's when they set me up in my home recently. On the 7th of the 6th, 2022. How ironic, isn't it? It's 3 years. Number 3 is for Freemasonry, is it? Just making some notes. Okay, so I'll keep this short. So basically, they're beelining for me in a massive scale. Yeah. So the 7th of June 2019. And then the date of the 7th, which was Tuesday just gone, of the 7th of 6th, 2022 makes it 3 years. Number 3 is Freemasons. Luciferian agendas, all this, isn't it? Well, you might not agree with me, but anyway, that's what I've been doing, and this is what they tied me up with NK trauma-based mind control. Educateyourself.org. You might want to research that, and the chapter why I can't take the documents, why I can't take the 14,900 is the effects if you have savings over 6,000, or don't have savings, but if you do, it affects the lump sum payment. Even if you take in sections, it sort of affects it over the threshold. Disability, well, the documents basically is quite clear. I'll point it out to them. I sent the copy of the Department of Recovery Unit and the National UK Policy of the Chapter 27 of the Social Security Recovery Benefits Act 1997, and the calculations reference to that, and how they were, one would be expected to pay everything back on the date of the tort, the crime, the common law. From 2002, it would take over the threshold. The total amount I was offered, 18 grand over the years, and that means I would owe these public funded companies and private companies since the date of 2002 more than that amount. So I was very competent and able to find this out myself. Nobody told me this years ago. I had to find it out. So I'm not in breach of any of their statutes or their company policies in this civil matter. So they're making assumptions on I lack the mental capacity in my private life, health, medical, health, social care, which I fully rebut. I've been doing that. They've caused me unlawful, their assumptions to force contracts on me and services on me by force and cohesion and fraudulent manner. Caused me additional harm and I'm stressed since, again, 2019, 2020, 2021 and 2022. And therefore, as survivor of horrendous tort, the victims of serious violence and the criminal justice system has failed me, I imply to them implying a claim that I lack the mental capacity. As I said about that, I fully rebut. That was started deliberately on the 16th of May 2019. The anniversary date of that's coming up as well. Oh no, that's just past because that was in June, May. Now it's June. The failures of, I'll mention who these public servants are who failed me. And to imply their area office agent or heed works from it, this will be at home online, who knows, that the Birmingham area office used the quarter protection assumptions, and a former company implied LGSSO Limited, its agents, is now called another company. They're folded. I'll go into details in 6 pages, but I won't cover it all here. It's all nil and void. The such assumptions from the 1st of April 2021, West Northamptonshire Council Limited Company set up. And I saw full disclosure terms and conditions since June, July 2021, what may or may not be offered, because they were approached to see if they could assist me on my private life, health, social care, financial affairs. I did not require the offer of goods and services. I could handle my affairs with my own private arrangements effectively. I therefore reject the offer, and I put in this affidavit of fact on record. I can clearly communicate my requirements. For the record, my first-hand knowledge of the facts, and I'll mention what they are. I have not breached. They have breached the offer of the victims of charter, best practice directions. I reject the invitation without dishonour on my part, unless they can prove that the company showing which facets of the common law are making the claim that I breached. I reject the offer without dishonour. I made my requirements to dismiss their agents pursuing this assumptions on my private life. and why, and had to reject their offer. And all those years ago, questioned recently why nobody had informed or communicated that this would affect all public funded services, and that's NHS Limited Company, goods and services. They're contracted out, subcontractors out to private companies as well. Housing, healthcare, you name it, anything public funded from the date of the tort. Common law offence that I sustained. And sadly, it's the only reason I'd been rejecting. Otherwise, like I said before, I would have took the funds. I looked into trust law. I looked to try and set that up. My son failed and let me down. My sister failed and let me down. Everything I tried to do, I was failed. And that's that.